Hi everybody, welcome. I'm going to talk to you today about adjusting to parenthood. One of the things we do know about parenting is it's actually a full-time job, but not like most other jobs we'll get. This is a job that most of us have probably had no formal training to undertake. If you were going for a job anywhere else, you'd have to have university degrees or at least some type of training. But having a baby, no, there's no actual prerequisites for you to have a baby. And the other thing that we do know also is that there is no instruction manual that comes with a baby. So that's why organisations such as us exist. And what I'm going to talk a lot about here today is probably more about the fact that give you some tips on how to adjust to parenting and some tips on what you can do, but also about how you can actually get some help and the types of places and the types of people that are out there to help you. So, when you actually have a baby, suddenly here you are, responsible for everything for this baby, for the health, well-being, the social well-being, the emotional well-being, the physical well-being of this tiny little person. That's a big responsibility. And babies are 100% dependent on you guys to provide them with everything that they need. Although that sounds scary, there's lots and lots of help out there for you. One of the things you've probably read a lot about is bonding and attachment. And lots of people, when they have their baby, they actually expect that they're going to have this emotional attachment to their baby the second that they're born. But you think about any other relationship you've had. Who believes in love at first sight? Takes time. It actually takes time to build a relationship with anybody. So if you don't feel that rush of love for your baby the minute they're born, that's actually very normal. Very, very few people actually get that overwhelming feeling. But it can take you some months, some weeks, even months, to actually get to know that little person that you've brought into the world. You will start to attach and you'll start to bond with that baby during your pregnancy, and that's all part of this process. But we know that it's a process that happens. So don't beat yourself up. Give yourself time. Give yourself a little bit of time to actually get to know this person. And for you guys, as a family, to actually get used to what's actually happening, because there's going to be quite a lot of changes in your life. So what we need to remember is that having a baby is like the beginning of any other new relationship. It takes time. So give yourself time. Be patient. Just step back and just, think, enjoy them and make the most of them. One thing I will say about babies, although there's no instruction manual being written, even if there was, the babies haven't read it. So they actually don't know what's expected of them either. So this is a two-way learning thing. So you actually need to give your baby time to get used to you guys as well. So it can be a little bit of a challenge. That's why there's organisations like us out there to help families. We provide a whole variety of services. We look at helping you teach your baby to sleep, how to feed them properly, normal development stuff. For families that are actually experiencing problems, we have residential units, we have perinatal mood disorder units, so for parents that have got depression or anxiety, we also have counselling services there. So, how can you actually help, how can you start that bonding process with your baby? One of the first things to do is actually just spend time with them. Talk to them. Be there. Meet their emotional needs. When they cry, you go to them. You pick them up. You calm them. You soothe them. So they actually start to learn that you're there for them all the time. So that they know that they're not alone, and then they will actually start to attach to you. So you will become really important figures in their life. But it's also for you. It's about giving yourself that opportunity. They can be so much fun. They'll laugh, and pretty soon they'll start to talk back to you and babble at you and smile at you, and that's when you start to get the rewards. And I think we think that babies are not going to smile and interact with us until they're a little bit older, but it actually starts very, very early on. And the babies that you talk to a lot are usually the ones that will really engage with you. The other thing that's really important is to actually get help. Think about the people that you've got around you. Think about who's going to be there in your little network, who are going to be your support people. Okay, and it's about those people helping out, you helping out, but also about giving you the help, spending time with the baby, because that baby needs to form relationships with all of those people. But just remember, it's going to take time. We talk about singing to your baby, talking to your baby, reading books to your baby. And yes, I am saying reading books from a very, very young age, because it's a social interaction that we have. And that will actually help to increase and to improve the bonding that you have with your baby. So, when we have a baby, what do you expect? What's going to happen? Remember, this is a 24-hour-a-day job. Okay, babies actually don't know that we clock off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They actually need you round the clock. And I'm telling you now, it's a lifelong job as well. I've got 2 adult children, and they still, Mum, what are we doing? What are we doing? So it's an emotional investment that you're making for the rest of your life. There's going to be some amazing moments of joy, okay, and excitement. All those great milestones, they're so wonderful. But then there's also going to be challenges. And it's about... Okay, I think what you need to be prepared for is that there is going to be some challenges. But if you're prepared for them and you've got the tools and the support networks, you'll actually get through them. And probably when you look at it, there's probably more good times than bad times. One of the things that we do know, and lots of people get concerned, is that babies cry. It's actually very, very normal for your baby to cry. So don't think that you're doing anything wrong because your baby's crying, especially for the first few months. Crying is baby's main way to communicate with you. So what we actually talk about in how you can adjust to being a parent is starting to learn what your baby means by the different cries. And I don't know how many parents are able to, and I'm looking at a baby crying, and parents will say to me, oh, that's their tired cry, or that means they're hungry, or that means this. But again, that actually takes a little bit of time for you to actually get to know your baby's cries. And there'll be different levels of cries. There'll be a whinge, or there'll be they do become distressed. So it's about you learning to interpret the cues that what your baby's trying to tell you. Sleeping, that's one of the other big things. You're going to all hear stories about the baby that sleeps all night from a couple of weeks of age, or the baby that, that sleeps, has all these naps during the day. Yes, those babies are out there, but there's also a lot of babies out there that don't actually sleep, lots and lots. That's where organisations like us exist, and we're out there to provide you that support and help, and even some tips about how to get your baby to sleep. And one of the things I think we also think when we have a baby is that they're actually going to know what to do. They're going to know how to go to sleep by themselves. They're not necessarily. This is something else that you as parents need to teach them. And remember, you don't have the instruction manual and you haven't had the training. So it's about going out there and getting some information about this. And as I said, that's why we're around. And our website actually has a lot of this information on it. So how can we actually get through this as a family? So some of the tips that we talk about on how to actually cope is to work together with the people that are around you. And when I say work together, it's so that you talk first about how you want to parent. So you sit down and you have the conversation, probably now, before you have your baby, and talk about what you believe about how you should be parenting. What are some of the things you want to do? What are some of the things that are really important to you? And what are some of the things that you're more likely to go, it's all okay? Because it's much, much better to have those conversations now, when you can sit down, have a conversation, rather than in the middle of the night when you've got your baby screaming and one of you saying, well, I want to do this, and the other one's going, well, no, that does not sit well with me at all. So have the conversation, because it's actually quite surprising. Different people have different ideas. We think we know someone so well, but often people will have different beliefs. And a lot of it might go back to how we were parented, and we don't actually realise that. So what I'm saying is have that conversation. And not necessarily just with your partner. It's the other people that are going to be involved in your baby's life. If you've got extended family that are going to play a big part, talk to them. Tell them what you want. If you want something, ask them. Lots of families say, you know, I've got someone that wants to do all this for me, but that's not what I wanted to do for me. I want someone to do this for me. And we say to them, well, tell them. Just say, you know, thank you for the offer to help. No, I don't need anyone to cook dinners for me, but I'd really love someone to come over in the afternoon, give me an hour so I can go and have a shower, you know, that I haven't been able to have because the baby's a little bit unsettled. So be a little bit proactive and you know, tell people what you want, because people are usually fairly keen to help, but often they don't know what to do. So they might not offer you the help you want. They might offer you the help they think you want. So tell them. One of the things we do know about babies is they actually thrive on things being done the same way. So they thrive on consistency. So when we're putting them to sleep, we talk about using the same method to put them to sleep all the time. Get them to sleep in the same place all the time. When you're feeding them, you know, you feed them the same way. You know, even sitting so they feel comfortable and secure. You might find a place that's comfortable for you to feed. So set yourself up with some consistent behaviours for your baby, and they will actually cope much, much better. One other key thing. One thing that we do really think when we have a baby is we're not important anymore. That's actually so far from the truth, because what we talk about is that if you're not well, if you haven't looked after yourself, there's actually not going to be anybody around to look after your baby. So although we think we should be putting our baby first, we really also need to be putting ourselves up there as well. Because if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be well enough to look after your baby. And by that I mean, make sure you have your check after your baby's born. Make sure you get back to the doctor and have your postnatal check when you need to. Make sure you look after eat well. Get yourself decent, have meals, regular, well-balanced meals. Get some rest, get some rest so that you actually do have energy. So what we say, yes, the baby may wake up overnight, but if your baby is waking overnight and you're really tired during the day and they have a nap, lay down and have a nap with them. Because I'm telling you, the housework will still be there when you get up. And if you're really lucky, the housework fairy might come in and do the housework while you're asleep. That would be really good. But this is really, really, really important for you to actually make sure you do look after yourself. But the other thing that's very important for you as a couple is that you actually have some time for yourselves as a couple. Okay, make some time. You don't have to go out. You can make special time at home. Have a nice dinner. Baby's gone to sleep. Sit down and relax. Don't run around and try and do all the chores. Make sure you actually spend some time for you as a couple. Talk to each other. My husband and I, after 22 years of parenting, we still actually go for a walk every afternoon. Even if we take the dog, but even if it's a half an hour walk, we actually walk and we just talk. So that's our time. Kids will say, do you want us to come with you? No, this is our time. And they'll offer, we'll come. No. But that's really important, and I think that is actually something so simple, but it's actually, even and it might be taking the baby for a walk in the pram, but just remember that you are there as a team and you need to actually work as a team. And all of this stuff, talk about your support networks, get those things set up, but then also look at your professional support network that you have out there. There's lots and lots of people out there that are actually available to help new parents. The first, probably the most accessible point in New South Wales is your child and family health nurses, sometimes known as your baby clinic sisters, your early childhood nurse, and they will have a clinic in just about every suburb. So what you need to do is make sure you make contact with your child and family health nurse as soon as you get out of hospital, as soon as possible after you get out of hospital. A lot of you will get a phone call from them to make an appointment for a first visit. They are nurses like we are that have trained to actually help parents to look after babies. It's not just about your baby's development. It's also about giving you some advice and some guidance and being there to ask questions. So make contact with your child and family health nurse as soon as you can, because she will be there and she will be a wealth of information for you. And if you need extra support, she will then be able to refer you on to get extra support. Alternatively, some people like to use their GP to go to their doctor for the same type of weighing and measuring your baby, but also about being there to answer these questions for you about being a parent. So it's either or. You don't necessarily have to do both, and it's what you're more comfortable with. But remember, it's not just about the baby. It's also about you guys. It's about you as parents, and it's about you actually understanding that you've got someone there that does have some professional knowledge that's able to help you. You can call us. We have a care line. We have a 7-day-a-week care line. The phone number's up here. And my phone's ringing. And then we also have our website. We have a mobilised website, which is the mybabyandme.org website. So you can find information, lots of written information on there for you to actually look up about sleeping, about feeding, about behaviour, about yourselves. So have a look at the website. The other thing that I can't stress enough is you actually need to remember that if you think you're not coping, tell somebody. You don't have to do this alone. Okay, that's where we come in. That's where organisations like us come in. And one of the things we say when we actually see parents is that we actually see that as a real strength as a parent, to actually know that you're not managing, that you need some help. And it's no judgment on your parenting at all. It's about the fact that you've been able to identify from within yourself that you need somebody to ask some questions of. And that's what we're there for. As I said before, we do a lot of work with parents that are not managing. We also do a lot of work with parents with toddlers with behaviour problems. But we also do a lot of work with parents with anxiety and depression. So those parents, and somebody asked me yesterday, was there a cure for postnatal depression? As I said, there's not necessarily a cure, but there is treatment. And we do know that about 1 in 4 women and dads can actually suffer from postnatal depression. So yes, it is true, fathers can actually suffer from postnatal depression as well. So and I think it's just about identifying that there actually is some help out there. So all I will say is enjoy your baby, and just remember, if you're not coping, just make sure you tell somebody. First point of call, maybe tell the people closest to you. But go out there and get help, because there's lots and lots and lots of help for parents now. Thank you. Any questions? There's lots of reasons that we talk about postnatal, and it's all different levels of postnatal depression. So a lot of it, one of the things we do know that sleep deprivation can cause depression. So if your baby's not sleeping, you're probably more prone to depression. We talk about what makes people predisposed to postnatal depression, and it's lack of support. It might just be somebody who already has an underlying mental health issue, bit of hormones. So it's a bit of everything that goes on. But it's a lot to do with this adjustment that you go through. This is a major transition in your life. This is one of the biggest life-changing events you'll ever have, and it's how you cope or don't cope. So sometimes we think we can predict. We can't predict who's likely to get postnatal depression. We've got people from, a high-ranking, one of the face of postnatal depression is Jessica Rowe, one of the most successful TV presenters that's around. So she's Beyond Blue's face of postnatal depression. So highly successful. To, the people, the parents, everyday parents that are around. So really, we're not actually sure what causes it, but we do know that it's much more common than people used to think it was. So, but as I said, there's plenty of help out there. So, okay, thank you.